Hello and welcome. I am so happy that you could all join us to honor Agnes Sutcliffe. I am Ron Friedrich, the pastor for the Christ Lutheran Church for the Deaf in Silver Spring, Maryland. Agnes was a very active member of our church. She also regularly attended with her husband Ron the St. Barnabas Deaf Episcopal Church. The two of them would alternate between the two churches. They were like glue that kept our two churches connected. Agnes took an active role in leading our worship, and she was also very active in our women's service organizations. Helping Hands Guild. Her motivation, her inspiration, her strength, and her joy came from her very private yet sincere relationship with God, as He is the one who supported her through life's many challenges. In the world, you can see two different kinds of people. There are those who are encouragers and those who are complainers. Agnes truly was one of those encouragers. She had a knack for seeing everyone in their best light. I saw her help to strive to help people see the best in themselves and not just be content with what they were, but she saw what you could see that you could become. Now, in schools, in college, and in church, Agnes was the one who challenged the young students to become leaders. Agnes's eyes and her heart were open to respond to the needs of other people. When we began our work helping deaf individuals in prison, Agnes became a staunch supporter. Perhaps you have noticed people see themselves as either victims or victors. But Agnes, well, she was a victor. Not just for herself, but for all of those people that touched her life. Agnes made us all better people, right? Thank you so much. My name is Alice Hagemeyer. I know Agnes. We went to the same school, the Nebraska School for the Deaf in Omaha. Her name sign back then was A on the forearm, and I shall use that name sign. She was born in Fortescue, Missouri. She became deaf at the age of 2. And I looked at the census as to the current census of how many people live in that town where she was born. It's only 29 people there. It's such a small town. It's 100 miles away across the state line to the Nebraska School for the Deaf. And her parents found the Nebraska School for the Deaf and then moved to Omaha. She and I were not in the same class. I happened to be 2 years ahead of her. And I must admit that I really don't remember knowing Alice very well at the time, but I do remember that Alice was a day student. And what I remember the most was some of us kids looking out the window at her father coming to pick up his daughter every afternoon after school. She had many siblings, and her parents needed her home, and they also had a huge vegetable garden at home. and her parents wanted to take care of her. And I can remember saying, I wish she was in the dorm. She could have a lot of fun on the evenings and weekends with us. But I found out later on that she finally got permission to stay in the dormitory in her last year of school. So I was very happy to hear that. And I happened to be at Gallaudet when I heard that. Now, when we met again later at Gallaudet, at Gallaudet College, it was like she was a flower that had blossomed. She was so excited to get out of Omaha. And she and my friend and three of us, a couple of my friends, took a train to Washington, D.C. to Gallaudet. We had lots of fun with these friends coming from all over the states. And I saw Alice happen to be very popular. She was very popular. She loved sports. And once she was actually queen at a fraternity gathering, ball. I had not seen her much for a while. And then later, I found out that she lived here in Maryland, just like I live here in Maryland. She's very active with the various deaf clubs. She's such a, into sports and into athletics. And she was an athletics director. She was involved in the Deaf Olympics. I saw her uniform in the museum in the Nebraska Heritage Museum. She donated that uniform to that Heritage Museum. Now we need to know that Alice liked to be involved with various organizations, and I'd like to name just one organization that she really loved. It was established back in 1907, and when we celebrated its 100th anniversary in 2007, she gave a presentation, a talk about the history of that organization. And she explained that this National Literary Society of the Deaf was very important for deaf culture and has stories and publications. And she's always encouraging people to be enthusiastic and involved. And I'll never forget her presentation. And I have kept that for the record. So that she could tell people about being involved with different organizations. Now, I'd like to speak to the family. Ron, her husband, her children, Glenn, Jane, Herb, Bert, and Dale, her grandchildren, and all. I want you to let you know that Alice will not be forgotten in deaf history. She contributed so much to our community, our deaf community. She loved supporting older people and children. And I know that she loved the community, the deaf community and her neighbors. She was always giving her time and giving of her love. Now today, we are here to celebrate her day. Thank you, Alice. You have had a wonderful life. I love you. Hi, I am Kay Burris. Hello, Agnes's family, husband Ron, and friends. Agnes and I have been friends for many years, actually since our Gallaudet days way back when. We worked together a few summers teaching ASL summer courses, and she would give me tips. And I learned a lot of tips from her. And then we were reunited again with the Red Hat chapter, which was founded in 2006. And I got to know her better. She's really a caring person, and at the same time, pretty funny too. She would like to visit, and she tended to worry about people, and she was very concerning and such a sweet woman. And one time I had surgery, and this was a few years ago. She came to visit me, and she bought me some treats. That touched me. She was such a sweet and caring person. The Red Hat Ladies Club had planned to visit Agnes when she wasn't feeling so well. And we were told that 5 of us coming at one time would be too much for her. So we split into groups of 2 and 3, and then Agnes canceled the group of 2 because it was close to her last days. So we backed off, and we were sorry that we couldn't visit. But then all of a sudden, one day, her daughter Jane called me and said, no, come, all 5 of you. Agnes wants all 5 of you to come and visit. And I said, really? I thought that 5 would be too many. And she said, no, come. We're going to have a pizza party. And I thought, oh my goodness, Agnes still has the spirit in her. So we reserved the day, and it was a gorgeous day. Absolutely gorgeous day. And Jane has a very nice, beautiful home out in the country. It was just perfect. We had pizza, we had beverages, and Agnes and Ron were in good spirits. And we felt that it probably would be our last time to visit with her because she was not feeling well, but she was still very cordial and very friendly. And when it came time to leave, we have this coronavirus and we were staying careful and not wanting to touch each other. But Agnes wanted me to put my palm to her palm and say goodbye. And that was the last time I saw her. Perhaps 2 weeks later, she was gone. Agnes was such a good woman, and I am so proud to have known her. Thank you all. Hello, everyone. I'm Darlene Iwan. I have known Agnes for 47 years. My whole life growing up was a lot of fun, always with her. Now, I have to admit that there were times where I made a mistake. She would scold me. But when she scolded me, she also showed love. She said, you can do this, and I believe in you. She was very encouraging. Now, my earliest memory of her was as a deaf teacher, PE teacher in Fowler Hall in the basement, in the gym. At that time, that's when Kendall School was being built. And I played hard. Next memory was at the Delphi Pool Club. Deaf people would gather there, and Agnes would drive my brother and I to the club. And when I went there, I broke many, many water phobias that I had. The water slide that was there, that was silver, and it was way up in the air and long. I was afraid to go there, but she encouraged me, and I did it. I overcame many of those blocks and achieved many milestones with Agnes encouraging me there. One time when I was little, I was with Dale, my brother, Bert, and Herb. I'm not sure, but I know for sure it was Dale. We all went with Agnes to watch a movie. It was a Disney movie, but the title I can't recall. But Agnes bought us popcorn and drinks and hot dogs and pretzels. And the jumbo movie-sized candies, box of candies, she gave it all to us. We sat there and we watched the movie and the lights went out. And midway through the movie, Agnes says, come on, we've got to leave. We got to go home. Leave? We all asked. We were all, wondering what was going on. So, all right. So we got up, we followed behind her. We got out of the theater and I realized my brother was missing. Where's my brother? I don't know where he went. So there was a police officer. And Agnes was talking with the police officer, and then she looked angry. And I come to find out my brother had told Agnes that he had to go to the bathroom. And Agnes said, fine, go ahead and come back. And we sat there, and he was gone for a long time. And I guess an employee of the theater came and said, you have to leave. This boy, Carl, he's with the police. Come to find out, he went wandering in the Beltway Plaza, where the AMC theater was connected to. He was a little boy, and they got him, and we had to not go back to the theater, and we went home. And Agnes's mood had changed, but now we can laugh at it. We also enjoyed going to the Maryland basketball games. Now, prior to that, we would go to dinner, and we would eat lots of food, and Agnes's discussion always was about the deaf community news updates of what's going on. She liked to talk about current events and how it applied to the deaf world. All kinds of sort of different things. And I learned so much from her. Now, she had a job teaching ASL at Gallaudet, and she said, come with me and help me during the summertime. And I was like, I didn't show up some of the time. And it's like, no, you can't do this. She would say to me, you can't do this. You're going to get fired. And I'm like, well, okay. And I left, and I was like, I got home, and my father said, hey, what's up? You're missing a lot of work. I was like, the light bulb went off. It meant that Agnes and my father were communicating. Agnes protected me. She really did. She wanted me to learn as I look back on this experience. It was at Gallaudet, she was so encouraging, so touching. You know, in the carport, they would have parties. Deaf people would sit around and talk for long, long periods of time. I also remember, oh my gosh, there was a crab feast at John Miller and Ozma Smith's had a crab feast. Many, many deaf people were there in attendance and talking. And I looked at these crabs and I said, not for me. I am not going to eat crabs. They're dirty and yucky. And Agnes convinced me after a lot of negotiating to eat the crabs. I did. And I am a Maryland girl. And I want to thank Agnes for all of the wonderful things that she did for me in my life and all the things she did for the deaf community. I love you all. Hi, my name is Ray Johnson. I grew up in two worlds, one being the deaf world at home and a hearing world at school. And often I had wondered, what would I grow up to be, a deaf woman or a hearing woman? I just really didn't know. But later on, when I grew up, I had a lot of wonderful role models who were deaf women. And I came to Gallaudet, and there were a bunch of hearing people there who were signing and kind of speaking, and I didn't understand them. And then I joined the Phi Kappa Zeta sorority and met a lot of fine deaf women who were signing fluently in ASL, and I was able to understand them. Agnes was always a wonderful leader. And after I graduated, I left Gallaudet. I came back to Gallaudet 10 years later to teach at MSSD, and we met each other with more people like Agnes. Went to many events, various Phi Kappa Zeta volunteer events, and we had video phones, and we were able to speak more with each other. And I understood all of the roles that she assumed in life. She was a woman, she was a mother, a teacher, a coach, a grandmother, a bridge player, a volunteer, a member of at least two women's groups. And in short, she was really a supporter of women. To her, being a deaf woman was not just good. And I learned that it was all fine. And I really am thankful and appreciative of what she did. And she helped me to understand, and that I was fine too. She was a wonderful person, and I will always remember her. Thank you so much. Hello. I was born in Boonville, Missouri. My parents had 10 children. Am I right? Yeah, 10 children. Right. Yes, that's right, 10 children. And I was the second in line. I was the second oldest. Okay, you want me to talk about Gallaudet? Yes. Really, I was not planning on where I was going to go until my favorite teacher encouraged me to go to Gallaudet College. So I took the exam, and I waited until I think it was June, and I got a letter from Gallaudet. And I opened it, and I was so surprised. I passed. Finally, but now, how am I going to go there? What kind of money am I going to need to go there? But I found out that vocational rehabilitation was going to help me. So the first time I got on a train, and my mom and dad were scared that I would be going alone on the train to Washington, D.C. So they asked some friends who might have been a junior at Gallaudet to come with them. They come with me. They lived in Omaha, and we rode together. And this person was very good to me. We rode, and we got to Chicago by train. And there were more deaf people who boarded the train. And we met each other, and we had so much fun on the train. We arrived at Gallaudet, and the friend who was seated with me bolted, left me scrambling, trying to figure out what to do. So I got on a taxi with this heavy trunk. And they took me to Gallaudet, and here I was at Gallaudet. I was lost. I knew some friends from Nebraska School for the Deaf there, and they helped me navigate the campus, and I was so happy I went to Gallaudet. And I went there, and I graduated. Hi, Herb and Bert. Dad and I are want to say happy birthday to you two, Herb and Bert. Yep. Here, blow it out. Nope, you. You surprised? You gave birth to them, not me. I want to ask you to please keep it up. Continue to keep working. In what you've been doing, I am so proud of you. Hi, everybody. I'm Roz Rosen, a family friend of the Sutcliffes, but more importantly, Agnes's friend. My husband, Herb, and Ron were roommates in college throughout those college days. That's really hard for me to actually believe that she's gone. Agnes. Agnes, A-G-N-E-S? No, it's spelled wrong. It should be Angel. It should be spelled Angel, A-N-G-E-L. Angel Agnes, well, whatever. She actually was one of a kind. You know, when God made her, he broke the mold. He never made another like her. She was everything that anybody would want in a mom, a grandmother that you would dream of having, a really dream grandmother, everything that you would want in a true friend. She was loyal. She was optimistic. She believed in people and in their goodness. Agnes was involved in the community, and she liked to fool around, and she kind of had a wicked sense of humor. And, oh my gosh, her wisdom was beyond her years. She had a heart of gold. Now, I digressed, but let me go back. A heart of gold, it meant that she always wanted to help everybody, make sure that everything was copacetic. Now, when she worked at Gallaudet, she had lots of friends, lots of colleagues. And finally, she decided it was time to retire from Gallaudet. And her retirement people was attended by so many people who wanted to tell stories about her. There were numerous stories. Lots of funny stories, heartfelt stories, and so forth were told that evening. Very positive. And after she retired, she did more volunteer work, even more so than she did prior to her retirement. For example, my mom lived with us for a few months while recovering from a fall. So when Agnes was retired, she would drive to my house, pick up my mother, because my mother was going stir crazy while my husband and I were working and the kids weren't living there any longer. So she'd come and pick up Agnes would pick her up, my mom, and then they would drive to pick up Polly Pykoff, and then maybe another person, and the four of them would go out to lunch, and they would chit-chat all afternoon on Wednesdays. Wow, what a sweetheart she was. You know, the girls, we got together, we played bridge for well over 50 some years, and together we played bridge on a monthly basis. And then when we got married, we would attend each other's weddings. And then each of us were getting pregnant, and, you know, we raised our children. We would get together with our kids, and our kids became best friends, almost like they were cousins. It was like family reunions, Bridgette reunions, picnics, different events and parties, birthday parties. We would go to each other's kids' birthday parties with our kids. We were responsible for many, many things. Our children would go to scouts and soccer and baseball teams. We were always going this place or the other place. And she always made sure that everything was organized. And then one by one, you know, we would get jobs after our kids went off to school. And then finally, all of us had jobs. And we were raising our families, and we were quite busy. And then she would volunteer for the community. She worked for DC Eyes at one point, the Washington, D.C. newspaper under the Deaf Club, the DCCD in Washington, D.C. We worked on filing, and, you know, we didn't have email back then. And so we worked together, and our kids got married one by one, and we would attend each other's children's weddings. And then, you know, doctor time. We all were getting old, and we had to go to doctors, and we sit in rocking chairs, and we just love each other. And the Bridgettes, we never missed. And then finally, Agnes decided it was time to go home. And she said goodbye. She said her farewells to everyone and told everyone that she loved them. And she said, "Hey, Roz, I'm going to save you a spot at the bridge table upstairs," and winked at me and said, "I'm going to save a chair for you." She was so thoughtful to the very end. We love you. You all are very, very special to us, the family, the Sutcliffe family. We love you. I'm Marcia Zisman, and I have known Agnes for many years. And actually, I knew her through my parents' friendship with Agnes and Ron. Both of my parents thought the world of Agnes, and especially my mom, who kept in touch with Agnes until my mom passed away. I was always so impressed by Agnes's involvement in the various community clubs. For example, GUAA, the Maryland Senior Citizens, Phi Kappa Zeta, and helping senior citizens out. Some seniors didn't have transportation to attend various events. She would pick them up and take them there, and she would support them in any way she possibly could. Her energy was limitless. I actually often considered her as being our deaf Energizer Bunny. Her involvement and loyalty to the deaf community was something to behold. We had a wonderful trip on a cruise to Alaska with Agnes and Ron some years ago, and some other deaf members were there too. And I was teasing Agnes. She seemed to like one of the staff on the cruise. And it just so happened one day, Agnes showed up all dressed up and made up. And I said, "What's going on with you?" And she said, "Well, I have a date with my boyfriend." And I said, well, good for you. Now, after my mom passed away, our friendship between Agnes and myself grew. We would contact each other on video phones and chat about all kinds of things, Gallaudet, the community, and yes, sports. The two of us loved local sports teams. Now, oftentimes, Agnes would say, in the beginning of our video phone conference call, she'd say, "I can only talk for a little while," and then we would talk forever. We had a lot to say. Agnes's number one priority was her family, without a doubt. She loved her children, loved and cherished her grandchildren, and remained very involved with their lives. Now, when Agnes told me through our chat on FaceTime that she had decided to enter into hospice care, I felt so sad. But, as at the same time, I also admired her for her decision, for her faith, and her resolution of the situation. She was very confident in her decision. My admiration and love for her just grew. I appreciated Jane allowing Ray and myself to come and visit Agnes and Ron at Jane's house. And I really do appreciate the bonus visit. Now, in Agnes's absence is left a void in my life and in our deaf community, and I'm sure in all of her beloved family. But we are all richer and all better for having known her. Thank you so much. Hello, I am Kay Francis Rose. I was very sad to hear the news that Agnes had passed away recently. Joe and I were very glad that we saw and visited with her just 2 weeks prior to her death. I knew Agnes Dunn as a very young lady when she worked with Fred Schreiber as the assistant director of the DDCD club, the basketball team. My husband, Joe, was on the 57 to 65 team. And as an assistant, she devoted her work to some fundraising projects and the athletic programs. Now, because of her devotion to that team, The players truly appreciated all of her deeds. Agnes was one of the founders of the card playing group of Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Ladies. And this bridge activity lasted for well over 50 years. We had lots of wonderful memories of the bridge days, playing cards, and Agnes absolutely loved this game. She had a cheerful attitude and was always welcomed by her friends who loved her so dearly. Now, when the Proud Primroses of Maryland, the official chapter of the Red Hat Society, was founded in June of 2006 at my house, Agnes was one of the 7 ladies who was invited to join this society. We were so fortunate to have her as one of us because she brought a lot of excitement to our group during our lunch discussions at unique restaurants and various events. She was one of the very active leaders in our group. Now, after some frustrations from prior years, we finally got tickets to visit the White House Christmas tour in 2010. We were so thrilled when we walked through various rooms with the beautifully decorated Christmas decorations. Now, I also have so many other fond memories of Agnes when she was with us at Red Hatters. We traveled to Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, spent the night at a bed and breakfast, the Town Hill Hotel in May of 2011. She was such a joyful person and so much fun to be with. And another awesome project of the Red Hatters was to make fleece blankets at my house on October 13th, 2015. We made 10 blankets just in that one day. Agnes was one of us, and she did her job remarkably well. Now, in December, we drove to the Maryland School for the Deaf at the Columbia campus and donated these fleece blankets to the pre-kindergarten children. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun to watch these young children's expressions when they received the blankets from us. I'm sure Agnes was equally as excited about our charitable deeds as she just loved children. The Proud Primrose of Maryland is still in existence, and the members sorely miss Agnes. Agnes was a very thoughtful and such a caring person that she just would help people whenever they needed her help. She was always happy to drive to some of the members' homes, pick them up, and bring them to the Maryland Deaf Seniors meetings. The members miss her presence at our MDSC monthly meetings, as she was one of the organization's finest leaders. She was well liked by the Maryland Deaf Seniors members. For 65 plus years, she was one of our dear friends. And, we would get together from time to time at various events. Our deep, friendly relationship shall not be forgotten. Rest in peace, Agnes. Until we meet again, I love you. Hello, everyone. My name is Rosalind Gannon, and I would like to talk to you about Agnes during our college days and in Nebraska. I contacted my fellow classmates. There were 4 of us: Valius Johnson from Bowie, Marge Sanders from North Carolina, and of course, my husband, Jack, and myself. The 4 of us were classmates, and we were all very, very close to Agnes. And I reached out to all of them, and we had the same exact feeling about Agnes. Exact same feeling, amazing. We were very impressed with Agnes when we first met her in our prep year. Now, during that time, we were separated 100% from campus. We had our own dormitory, and I slept in the Dawes house, and the boys slept in the Drake house. And classrooms were way up on top of the hill where MSSD now. And at that time, there was an old farmhouse there, and that's where we had classes. Even the football and the other sports were separated from us, from campus. We all felt like family. Agnes was very cheerful. She was such a leader and so thoughtful of all of us, and just always a happy-go-lucky type of person, always smiling. And we were just so impressed with her. Now, even preps had to give a play to the upperclassmen in the springtime. So we had to be creative and think of a play. And Agnes was our lead role in our dreamland, where we traveled through other countries and we took on acting parts of the various countries. Now, my husband was MC and I was a Hawaiian girl, so I had to learn how to do the hula. Oh my gosh, did we have fun times in our prep year. And we were still, throughout our 4 years at Gallaudet, we were all friends and we had such fun and we stayed in touch. Now, once we graduated, Jack and I got married just 4 days after we graduated. And Agnes, unfortunately, could not attend our wedding in Nebraska. Whereas our other classmates came to the wedding in Nebraska, but Agnes, her brother came and said, no, you have to go. She had to give up coming to our wedding. So when we moved to Nebraska to teach at the Nebraska School for the Deaf, Jack and I, we did not know one soul in the state of Nebraska except for Agnes. And we were quite nervous, of course. We did not knowing anybody there in that state. And we bought a mobile home. We'd rather have a mobile home rather than a trailer. But we didn't want to park our mobile home in a trailer park. We wanted a nice place to live. So Agnes told us that she would find us a nice place. And sure enough, she found a beautiful lot on a farm with a cornfield in the back. And it was very close to her parents' home, perhaps like 2 miles away from her parents' home. So we parked it there. And there were only 3 mobile homes on that piece of property. She helped us set it up. She took pictures of it, of us and our new place. And she also took us to visit the Nebraska School for the Deaf. We visited the campus and she introduced us to several of the deaf teachers there and several of her friends. In a split second, I felt at home in Nebraska. I did not feel lost at all. It was Agnes who orchestrated this whole thing for us, and I am so thankful for Agnes. And then she went back to Gallaudet to teach PE at Gallaudet. So now I have 2 new stories that I just learned about recently. I was talking to 2 individuals. One was my classmate, Martha, and she told me a wonderful story. She went to Europe. I think it was Turkey or Egypt. I'm not quite sure. And Agnes and Ron were with them traveling throughout Europe at the time. And she said that the 4 of them, this group was trying to cross the road, but they could not because cars would not stop. So Agnes was this tough cookie. She walked out in the middle of the road. Cars came to a screeching halt. She held out her arms and her legs, and then those people walked across the street. When it was all done, she waved to the cars and thanked them, and then everybody continued across the street and went on their merry way. The other one was a story from a lady from Virginia. She came to Gallaudet in her first year, and she saw this lady walking across campus who was very pregnant, and she didn't know who this lady was. And when she got to PE class, it was Agnes. She was just walking around and just going from here to there and walking quickly. She said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Just don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'm fine. Just go ahead. Go to class." She was astounded. Now, 2 weeks later, the baby was born, and Agnes was just awesome. So thank you all.
Hello, my name is Glenn. I'm one of 5 children of my mother, Agnes. This is a note written by my father, Dr. Ronald Sutcliffe. I first met Agnes at an event for the Iowa Association for the Deaf in Council Bluffs. We met again later when we were students at Gallaudet College, now university. It should be known that Agnes was the second child in a family of 11 children. She was a commuter student at the Nebraska School for the Deaf until her final senior year. Agnes had the burden, responsibility of helping take care of her brothers and sisters growing up. She also had the responsibility of taking care of the potato farm with her family. And they sold the potatoes at the gate to their family farm. After graduating from Gallaudet, Agnes was very, very active in many, many, many organizations. She got her first car in 1961. We agreed to rideshare, carpool, so that she can visit her family in Omaha and that I could visit my family in Iowa. Eventually, we dated and we got engaged on Valentine's Day, 1962. We were married with over 200 guests on July 14, 1962. Agnes had the kind of strength to raise 5 children, volunteer with many organizations, coach our daughter's basketball team, manage and write the kids' Boys and Girls Sports Club newspaper, and through it all, she also helped me through 8 years of my study getting a PhD. And she always stopped her daily routines to help sports with the kids in the front of our house, whether it's pitching softball, kickball, whatever. Agnes was always going to stop and say, "I want to play sports with the kids' friends in the area." She had that kind of strength and that kind of love. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here as we talk about my mother, Agnes Sutcliffe. I'm Jane. I'm her daughter. I have 4 brothers, the second oldest. And I want to talk to you today from 2 perspectives. Firstly, I'm going to speak for my brothers and me about my mom, and then I'm going to speak from my mom's perspective. So my brothers and I, what we would like you to know, and as you know, my mom had a huge heart. And what that meant to us was that she was really easy to forgive, and she didn't hold a grudge. Every time we would see her, she would have a smile. She would be, always say, think positively, look to the future. That really meant a lot to us growing up. She was very supportive. She was always thinking positive and telling us to do so. And that was really inspiring. Now, from my mom's perspective, what I want to say from her, she stayed with me for 6 months, the end of her life, is that what she would want you to know is that she felt incredibly grateful for her life. She was so thankful to God that she had met and married my father. They were married for 58 years. She raised 5 children. She has grandchildren. She's so proud of them. They're involved in sports and scouting and dance and school and music. And she got so much pleasure from her family and her grandchildren. She also got to travel the world, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, Egypt, like so many adventures. Very fortunate. And being involved with all these organizations and National Associations for the Deaf, Deaf Seniors of America, World Games for the Deaf, Deaf Olympics. You know, there was just so much that she was involved with, and she was so grateful and proud to be involved with them. And then when she would lessen her volunteer work and step back, she was so glad to see how these organizations all thrived, and she just knew that everything was going to be all right. She was so grateful. Now, if you imagine like what, an amazing life looks like and what would be involved in that, friends, family, and such. My mom had every one of those boxes checked off, family, satisfying work, involved in the community, good friends. She had it all. So very grateful and so happy, and she knew it. She was so thankful to God for all of it. And now she's gone, and she's up in heaven, and she's planting flowers, and she's got sporting events to cheer at, and she's got tables for bridge set up, and we can look forward to joining her there in heaven and participating all that she has prepared. Thank you for your love for my mom. I know a lot of people loved her. And I know with certainty that my mom has so much love for all of you. Thank you. Love to you all.
Well, I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, hallelujah. Baby, I've been here before. I've seen this room and I've walked this floor. I used to live alone before I knew you. And I've seen your flag on the marble arch. And love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. Hallelujah. Well, there was a time when you let me know what's really going on below, but now you never show that to me, do you? But remember when I moved in you, and the holy dove was moving too, and every breath we drew is hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Maybe there is a God above, But all I've ever learned from love was how to shoot somebody who outdrew you. And it's not a cry that you hear at night. It's not somebody who's seen the light. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Wow, I wish you all could join us. I remember being with you all as you grew up. You grew up with me, and it was so important growing up with me. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for sending me pictures. I truly enjoy looking at each and every one of them and seeing what you've been doing. Thank you. Thank you for remembering me.